Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently it turns out that there's no evidence whatsoever to back up my previous claim that Israel Shamir, the journalist in Russia associated with WikiLeaks, is a known anti-Semite. Absolutely none whatsoever. In fact, all I've posted thus far has been purely gossip and hearsay. And I should know this because I got this on good authority from someone who knows an awful lot about posting purely gossip and hearsay as evidence for his arguments. I am, of course, referring to SkidRowRadio. So, seeing as how I'm incapable of posting any actual links, I thought I would take this opportunity to engage in some mental masturbation, as his good friend Nuclear Knight would call it, and read some more of the gossip and hearsay in an exercise in futility. Links, as useless as they will turn out to be, are in the description to the articles that I'm using, or where necessary to contact the publishers of said articles to try and obtain copies of the articles mentioned. I'd like to begin not by looking at the works of Israel Shamir, but the works of the same man under the name Robert David, in far-right publications Politica, the former newspaper DN, which was shut down in 1993, or its successor Zavtra, all in the early 1990s. These are two publications that most respected journalists, not just in Russia but throughout the rest of the world, view as being right-wing and anti-Semitic. Under this pseudonym, Shamir wrote multiple pieces attacking the Nobel Peace Prize-winning human rights activist Andrei Sakharov, calling him a Zionist agent. He also claimed that Russian liberals were Zionists, how Zionists were the worst enemies of the Russian people, and equated Zionism with fascism and racism. He also claimed to be an Israeli living in Israel, as the papers did as well, but the simple fact was that he was a Russian-born Jew who was at that time living in Russia. While this is not enough evidence on its own, let's continue and look into some of the other conspiracy theories and crackpot claims of the man known as Robert David, Israel Schmerling, Joran Jermas, Adam Ermash, Vasily Krasevsky, and of course, Israel Shamir. In late 2001, on a visit to Norway, Israel Shamir made the claim to the mainstream newspaper Adressavisa that, quote, many Jews received text messages warning them to get out of the World Trade Center in New York before the terror attacks of September the 11th. On December 15, 2005, Israel Shamir appeared on a program called Current Issues, where he alleged that Jews are somehow aligned with demonic forces, and I quote, call it Antichrist, call it Satan, call it whatever. This kind of force tries to defeat Christ, and it is heavily armed with tools of Jews. End quote. We can also look to such fine examples on Israel Shamir's own website, like his post entitled Bloodcurdling Libel. Again, I'd like to quote, Jews asked God to kill, destroy, humiliate, exterminate, defame, starve, impale Christians, to usher in divine vengeance and to cover God's mantle with the blood of Goyim. Again from the same article, the Ashkenazi Jews believe that spilled Jewish blood has a magic effect of calling down divine vengeance on the head of the Gentiles. The picture of Jews slaughtering children for cultic reasons exerted huge impact on the Christian peoples of Europe. End quote. If this still isn't enough evidence, we can also look at the speech that Israel Shamir gave at a book launch here in the UK back in April 2005 as the guest of Lord Nazir Ahmed, as it was reported in the infamously poorly written dirt sheet known as The Times. The gist of Shamir's speech at the meeting can be gleaned from its title, Jews and the Empire. It included observations such as, all the political parties are Zionist infiltrated. Your newspapers belong to Zionists. Jews indeed own, control and edit a big share of mass media, this mainstay of imperial thinking. In the Middle East, we have just one reason for wars, terror and trouble, and that is Jewish supremacy drive. In Iraq, the US and its British dependency continue the same old fight for ensuring Jewish supremacy in the Middle East. The Jews like an empire. This love of empire explains the easiness Jews change their allegiance. Simple minds call it treacherous behaviour, but it is actually love of empire per se. Now there is a large and thriving Muslim community in England. They are now on the side of freedom against the empire, and they are not afraid of enforcers of Judaic values, Jewish or Gentile. This community is very important in order to turn the tide. I guess that absolutely none of this shows that Israel Shamir is in any way an anti-Semite, and I should forget this argument altogether. And as for the claim that Julian Assange knew about this, well, we've got the leaked emails that were publicised by Private Eye and BBC's Panorama show that, curiously, Assange has never denied the authenticity of. Allow me, though, again to present the interview in Interfax by none other than Israel Shamir himself. Now, while I know the interview linked is in Russian, I took the time to have it translated, so allow me to quote a small portion of it if I may. You are known as the unique Russian-speaking accredited journalist at WikiLeaks, the authorized representative of the founder of the site, Julian Assange. It would be desirable to hear your opinion on what objectives are pursued with the site that he created, because now there are a lot of disputes around WikiLeaks. Now, Israel Shamir's response at this point was to talk about WikiLeaks and shining a light on transparency, etc. But the next part is the one that's most pertinent. And how did you become acquainted? He, Assange, contacted me somehow several years ago. He personally contacted you? He did. He's very inclined to show the initiative. Now, just in the interest of humouring SkidRowRadio, let's just say that the Private Eye/BBC leaked email was fake.
Julian was warned about Israel Shamir's views a year earlier. Panorama has been leaked this. It's a WikiLeaks secret. On it, an email from Julian Assange. It reads as follows. Dear Israel/Adam, someone wrote saying they refuse to associate with an organisation that would work with an anti-semite like Israel Shamir. Julian goes on, from a brief sampling of your writing, I did not find the allegation borne out. I found these samples to be strong and compassionate. Julian went on to suggest a solution, that Shamir write for WikiLeaks under another name, and that's handy, because he's got a few of them.
Given that Assange is apparently big on fact-checking, would he not think it might be a good idea to do some research into the history of journalists he plans to approach to leak these cables? And given that Israel Shamir's son is the official spokesman for WikiLeaks in Sweden, do you genuinely believe that Israel has only ever met with WikiLeaks staff twice since being approached by Assange, as they claimed in their statement? Or is it possible that he's only ever met Assange himself face-to-face on 2 occasions? I guess that not doing the proper research is something that SkidRowRadio sees as being perfectly acceptable by Julian Assange, as it's something that he fails to do himself. Well, while this concludes this argument, I'd like to end this video with 2 further examples of the grossly disgusting behaviour of SkidRowRadio, and this time they are rather disgusting ones. In a video towards me, he made the argument that guilt by association was something that shouldn't be acceptable as an argument.
Yes, and it's guilt by association, Shredder, and I think you would have moved past that kind of playground criticism. It's ridiculous.
However, in a video he uploaded entitled PJ Crowley Supports WikiLeaks, the user IronMythPur, aka Nuclear Knight, refers to Federalist Films multiple times as being a rapist. While she does say in one comment, "No, I'm not. The US Army set up rage camps and used comfort women all throughout Asia and continue to rape women in imperialist wars today, also directly responsible for the economic circumstances, via imperialism, that are responsible for the gang rapes and murders of women right on the Mexican border. You support that, you support rape, you support theft, you support the destruction of the planet we all need to survive. You're a fucking rapist and you know it." SkidRowRadio doesn't take his own advice and chastise his good friend for using this disgusting example of guilt by association, or even daring to publicly call someone a rapist, which he does on multiple occasions. He instead backs her up with such comments as this one to RHPS Magenta. You've never heard the term rape of the natural world? Yeah, valid metaphor, sorry. And as we can hear in this clip, he attempts to justify it in edenscancer's blog TV room.
I'm going to lecture.
Okay, so my interpretation of that conversation is, yes, it got very heated, it got pretty nasty. There's a long history of these two people being horrible to each other in comment sections all over the place, but this conversation, yeah, it got a bit out of hand. The context, which you said is important yourself, is that they're talking about politics. What did he say? I gladly take the imperialist label. And in response to that comment, she's saying, well, your support for imperialist nations, according to your comment, indicates a support for these countries that have done all this stuff, doesn't it? That's what the context. They're talking about politics. she's not literally calling him an actual rapist.
She throws around the word rapist.
I think it's disingenuous to make from that conversation that she's literally calling him an actual physical rapist himself.
The second example I'd like to show here is a video he posted on his backup account, NoID72, where he makes the insinuation that edenscancer is a paedophile. After being called out on this bullshit, rather than take down the video, he simply switched it to unlisted and disabled the ratings. A link will be posted in the description for you to see it for yourselves. SkidRowRadio sent myself and several other users private messages saying that he cares about what other people think about him. Well, I do care what Landon thinks of me, believe it or not, and many other people as well. And with you spreading your shit in your Blog TV shredder, you're influencing people whose opinion I do care about. Well, after this little display of your true colours, including gross hypocrisy and character assassination from your end, including this exchange between yourself and D-Landon Cole on Blog TV, I'd like to say congratulations, Ooge. You've done more damage to your own reputation than I could with 100 videos about your bullshit. Peace out.
Alright, are you in, man?
Hello.
There you go.
Hey, Landon.
How are you?
Hey, up, not so bad.
Good. Look, what I wanted to say really was, I'm not entirely sure where this is going at the moment, and I'm sure that there is blame to be put on all sides. All I really wanted to say is that, Rith, who's a good friend of mine, has been really hurt by some of the things that have been said in the comments. I don't think you can be expected to defend IMS Purr's comments, but you've come on, and I don't think you've given any recognition at all to the fact that something is being brought up which is a really big issue for Rith, and that it really has hurt him a lot.
Okay, so talk about
this. Hang on, let me finish. I don't want this to turn into another war where, you've got two camps of people throwing videos at each other. I don't know. I'm not sure what you can do, but I can't help but feel that all of this isn't going to do anything except cause more upset and more pain for everybody involved.
Okay, can I go now?
Please.
Okay, well, it just sounds to me like you make caveats for, as you said, your friends, whilst ignoring really, to all effects, the caveats that might exist for my friends, and also the heinous shit said by your friends, the criticism here in this Blog TV session, and I'm glad I'm not even looking at chats because I'm sure it's all one way, is about the nasty stuff that Nuke's saying, when I'm sure a lot of us here are quite well aware of the horrendous shit that Rith is capable of dishing out to others. Now, you can make caveats one way or the other for specific things. I can make the same caveats for specific things for my friends. It doesn't mean that one has a buy and the other doesn't. Either they're going to engage in this kind of combative rhetoric or they're not. I really think it's disingenuous to say, this person shouldn't. This was a mean thing to say because of this. When the other way around, I could say exactly the same thing. To people in this, to many people in this room that have said things to that person, and so I just find it really disingenuous, this double standard that goes on. Personally, I can talk to me personally.
You, sir. God damn you!
What's that?
I'm gonna lose my temper. I'm gonna sign off the call. Good day.